I remember many years ago, my son's, wow, almost 14 now, but when I began to teach him to read, how overwhelmed I felt. I mean, I wasn't a teacher at the time, I was just a mom. And I think many parents feel the same. They feel overwhelmed to tackle such a huge learning milestone for their kids, and they just leave it to the teachers. But how does your system guarantee that most any parent can confidently teach their child to read without a teaching degree?
I totally understand that from the angle you're coming from, because we felt exactly the same way when we started. We were thinking, okay, how are we going to go about this teaching this whole thing? And, where do we even start? Because there's so much conflicting information. There's so many people saying, okay, start with sight words. Just start memorizing sight words that your child come with, and the others say teach letter names, letter sounds. So in a sense, at the beginning, it was very confusing until we came upon this idea of phonemic awareness, of helping the child develop phonemic awareness. And what makes our program work is that, it's something that created by very average parents, just like you and your viewers. There's nothing special about my wife and I. We're both actually, I'm a business major. I have a double major in finance and economics, and my wife at the same time, she has a major in finance as well. So, our backgrounds are not in education. And, this program just comes from two very average parents, average family, and it works for three very simple reasons. The first is that our program is extremely simple, because when we started, we knew that, okay, if we're going to teach our 2 or 3-year-old child to read, this has to be simple. It just can't be complicated. Otherwise, it's not going to work with a 2 or 3-year-old.
Right.
Right? So, it has to be simple. That's just the way it has to be. And the second reason is that it kind of links back to the first reason, is that our lessons are very simple and very short. Typically, it takes about 3 to 5 minutes earlier in the sessions. In the later lessons, it shouldn't take any more than 7 minutes to complete. So it's very quick, and you get a lot of things done during those few minutes with your child. So there's a sense of accomplishment for the child and the parent during that short period of time. But the thing is, we keep it short, but you need to do it several times daily. So you reinforce it with the child. So if you do, 3 5-minute sessions per day, that's like 15 minutes, right? So it's not a whole lot of time that you spend on it, and it's not something that the child is not going to enjoy, because you're forcing them to do it for a long time, right? And the third reason, again, this goes back to phonemic awareness. Our program focuses very heavily on helping the child develop phonemic awareness, and at the same time, we follow a systematic approach to learning phonics, where our program is very logical, sequential, and it's a very progressive order of learning. For example, we start with the very basics of the English, with the letter sounds, letter names, letter sounds, and we slowly introduce very simple words. We teach them blending exercises to help them develop phonemic awareness, and we slowly introduce slightly longer, more complicated words, and then we introduce short sentences, longer sentences, stories, rhymes, and off they go.
Great. So when I began reviewing your system, at first glance it reminded me of a book that I used a long time ago to teach my son to read. But as I dug deeper into your system, I realized that it included so much more, but still kept it so simple. And you work through it in half the time that it took me to go through that book. So tell us about all the extras that your system includes.
Sure. Our main program actually comes in 2 ebooks. We just titled it Stage 1 and Stage 2 of Children Learning Reading. We made a distinction between learning the alphabet letter names and letter sounds in Stage 1, and the digraphs and their sounds in Stage 2. So it's 2 slightly different things. Our reading lesson books. These are very colorfully illustrated books that matches along with the reading lessons of our program. So it's not something that parents should start right away, because it's actually matched to each of the lessons. So you should only get to those parts once your child gets to those lessons. So, and the other thing is we also include a book of most common sight words. And I know with sight words, it's a bit of a loose definition, because a lot of the sight words that people call sight words, they could actually be sounded out and decoded fairly easily. So we do not include those type of sight words. The types of sight words that we include our book are actually just the sight words that you cannot equal simply by trying to sound them out. We also include letter, sound, MP3 audio clips because when we started teaching our children to read, we knew that we had to teach them the letter sounds, and a lot of the times it was a little bit of we had to do some research to figure out, okay, what's the proper way of sounding this out so that I don't mess up teaching it to my child. That's very, very important. And so we include these MP3 audio clips for the parents that are going to teach their child, instead of trying to describe, okay, this is how you sound out A in written form. That's very difficult.
Yes.
So we recorded these MP3 audio clips to demonstrate to parents exactly how to sound out all the letter sounds, so that they can teach their children much better in that sense. And the last bonus of our program is children's nursery rhymes, which just includes quite a few very interesting and fun to read rhymes to children. And at the same time, we provide 12 weeks of one-to-one consultation. So if the parents ever have any questions, if they want to ask questions directly about our program, ask for some advice, just shoot us an email. I'm kind of sitting at my computer almost all day, so I check my email every 15 minutes, or even if I don't, it checks itself. I get the beep sound, and I got an email, and I shoot an email right back. So they can get a pretty speedy response in terms of that as well.
Yeah, and I think those are the huge things that once I started, looking at your program really closely, that set it apart, because it is the stories are so colorful, and whoever did your graphic design, if you did that, kudos, because it is fantastic, and I don't know any kid that wouldn't want to engage with that. The second was the audio clips, because when I was teaching my son to read, same thing, you look at those little phonetic, pronunciations of the words, and you think, I should know this, but how do I say that? So that was another huge benefit that I saw in your program. And then just that you offer a consultation, and that you really are there and available. As soon as I shot you an email, you shot it right back. So I just that's huge for you to be available and to mean it. So I think that's cool. So when I was teaching my kid to read, I can tell you there is nothing more rewarding than seeing that light bulb go on inside of their head when they start reading, when they get it, and you can tell they're excited, and then they you'll be out driving around and they see a sign that they can read, or something on the cereal box, and things just start clicking for them, and the whole world just opens up to them. And I know that how I felt when I took a part in helping them achieve that is just priceless. It is so cool to see them go, oh, I know how to say that, or what that says, because for so long I think they just think that those are just pictures or something, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I can read that, it makes sense to me. Yeah, so speaking of, feeling priceless, I would think that you could turn an arm and a leg for this system, especially considering all the extras that you include, and you're making yourself available to everybody who buys the system to ask questions, get a hold of you. So how much does it cost?
Okay, just going back to the point of those priceless moments, I know exactly what you're talking about, because there's so many occasions when we're going out, just be it road signs, restaurant menus, or just just these neon signs, everything. We're just reading about everything. It's incredible. We mentioned earlier there's a lot of programs out there, and they do actually charge you an arm and a leg. You're spending like $300, and I'm not going to name any names, but some of them don't. It doesn't even work quite well. Where it's simply a system of shape memorization, which is not teaching children to read. With our program, we're actually still in the pre-launch phase right now. We're going to be launching later this year. But during the pre-launch phase, our standard package is only just $37. So, you get everything that we just mentioned earlier. You get the main program and all the extra bonuses. And we also have a premium package for customers, which we charge right now at $55.96. But once we get beyond this pre-launch phase and go into official launch later this year, we're planning to charge around $49 for the standard package, and the premium package price will go up accordingly as well.
And what does the premium package include?
For the premium package, there's quite a few extras. We have some video. We have a video video edition of our program where we go through with the parents and highlight some of the most key important aspects of our program that we feel is very important that they need to pay attention to while teaching their children to read. And at the same time, we also have stage 1 and stage 2 lesson printout. Now, these are preset printouts that we made that you can easily print onto blank business cards, and you can turn them instantly into flashcards for your kids to work into with your lessons. For the letters, for the words, and some of the sentences. And we also have another colorfully illustrated rhyme book that contains all the rhymes from the stage 2 of our program. Because with the stage 2 of our program, it's a little bit slightly more complicated reading, and it involves more words, more reading, more sentences, and also quite a few more rhymes. And with that, we made a separate book for those rhymes as well. That comes with very nice and colorful illustrations as well.
Great. I just want to take a minute and thank you so much for talking with us today. I am so excited to let our visitors know about your product, and I hope that they'll use it and email you the results. You can head on over to Jim's website, which is ChildrenLearningReading.com, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, and we're going to include the links below the interview so you can check those out, and there you can read all the testimonials, the full product details and descriptions there, and you can see his daughter learning to read, which is the coolest thing. And if you're not ready to buy the system yet, then that's fine. You can sign up for his newsletter for free, and he'll email you some great tips on how to teach your child to read.
Yeah, and if your viewers ever have any questions, just shoot me an email, and I'll reply usually pretty quick.
Great. Thank you so much, Jim.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.